Tehyuan Wan. So within this 6 minutes, we'll probably give everyone 4 minutes to 5 minutes to present his or her piece, this AI and its impact for education. So I have laid out basically 5 bullet points to outline the process, how we are going to do this presentation. But this is a very suggested outline, and you can take a liberty to really to best present your view on the topic. So I would not repeat these 5 points as you have already seen, and maybe you have already done preparation in a different format. So let's really start with probably I just listed the panelists from the email. I don't know whether Galit Zamler is in the room or not. Oh, okay.
I'm here.
Okay, I'll have you to start the first
thank you.
of the presentation. Okay, go ahead.
I will introduce myself first. I'm Galit Zamler. I'm from Israel. I'm the founder of Entrepreneurship for Kids program, which became international, and the Hackathon, experiential hackathons. So I meet students and teachers when they teach and learn entrepreneurship, and when they participate in hackathons. And these are both innovative and creative, and many other skills are involved in these 2 programs. And would you like me to tell about how we implement AI technology, or later?
I think probably if you can touch on general, how to say, the landscape of AI in your country or in your community in terms of policy and practice, and then you can dive deep a little bit into what you do in that context.
Okay, so first, in my country, we all understand that entrepreneurship and AI technology is something that is here and here to stay, and we all have to embrace it and use it and get the most out of it. And otherwise, we like dinosaurs, we will stay behind, and all others will. We are in a competitive environment, so we don't have any other choice but to jump on this and use it. So even in the education system, our education ministry encourage using AI technology, but with rules, let's say. So there are rules if the students, for example, are under 8th graders, they need permission from their parents, and they need it to be from the educator's computer. And I believe it changed, and it will be changed along the way, because everything is dynamic now. But we encourage students to use AI technology, but carefully, with a critical thinking, not getting answers as they are, but check and think about it. And we also encourage them to work in teams, not alone. So we know that the advantage of the technology, AI technology, is that it helps you for each individual progress according to his abilities, but also working together.
Great. Go ahead. And now you can talk about how you work with the students in the context of AI adoption.
Okay, so we have integrated the AI technology in the Entrepreneurship for Kids program. And we encourage students to learn all aspects of developing a venture through AI technology. why we want them to, as I said, to think critically, go and check if what they get is true. Maybe it's not, maybe it can be in another way. And we have almost in every hackathon now, we integrate the AI technology in this part or another. We have, for an example, like a hackathon on June about we call it the next generation. It's about how AI technology refers to the gender, because we know there are some issues about it, and how it's supposed to be. How do we want it to be? This is just fun, for example.
Okay, great. Okay, probably we'll stop. You will stop here, and then probably we have a chance to participate in a discussion whenever you feel you would like to jump in. Okay. Next one is Claire Evans. Is in the room?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay,
hi,
great.
Hi, Tehyuan.
Okay, hi.
Right. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you all, and lovely to be here today. So my name is Claire Evans. I'm the Chief Learning Officer at School of Humanity, which is an progressive online high school. We have learners from around the world who do their learning online. So they have synchronous sessions where they're joining live in person, and then they have asynchronous work. So their assignments are all done asynchronously using a learning management platform. So we have integrated a use of AI policy. I think it's really that for us, I mean, like Galit says, it's really important to embrace it and accept it and teach the learners how to use it effectively. Not, our personal view is you can't ban learners from using AI, and that AI is being developed to help essentially to make certain processes easier. We also recognize that it can be used for inclusivity and equity. So learners, for example, I think it also at this point it's really important to stipulate that AI covers such a broad, like the term AI is so broad, it covers so many different things. It's not just ChatGPT, but it's also a myriad of tools that can be used to help learners. So we have in our policy, we kind of stipulate when AI can be used, when it shouldn't be used, the risks associated with AI. For example, copying chunks of text out of ChatGPT will be seen as plagiarism, for example. But then really kind of explaining and teaching learners how to use it effectively. We embrace the tools such as speech to text, note-taking, language translation, things like that. These are all forms of AI which can be very, very helpful. And again, that they can be inclusive. So helping learners to access information, helping them to follow sessions, live sessions, and so on. So AI can be very, very beneficial. But of course, it is really important that the learners recognize that there's a time when AI can be used and there are times when they shouldn't be used. So really teaching them how to use it ethically, and explaining when it's improper, when it shouldn't be used, and also the risks associated. So, with the ChatGPT, for example, you have the AI hallucinations where information isn't correct. So teaching learners to always verify the information that they're getting from using a tool like that, not just to take it at face value, but to investigate further and use it as a tool, as a guide, as a prompt, but not to base all of their work on a tool such as that. We also provide guidelines. So we have a very kind of extensive policy for the use of AI. And then yeah, a big part, as I mentioned already, the inclusivity. So we have learners with special learning differences. In fact, 30% of our learners have special learning differences, and here it's really encouraged that they can use the tools to help them access their learning essentially. Anything else that Yeah, I think that those are the main points really. The other point is that when they are doing it, actually an important point is the learning design team. So all of the assignments which are set to learners, as much as possible, they are designing assignments where they hope that the learners will be able to use AI to guide them, to help them, but they won't be able to base their work on AI. So the learning design team is taking that into consideration when they design assignments for the learners. So that's an important point as well, that the ways of working at the school has pivoted to incorporate AI, but to be mindful of how it can be used or misused. And just one little note before I pass it over to someone else. The future of AI in education, I think the possibilities are limitless. There's certainly the personalization side of making learning accessible, making it personalized, so learners being able to kind of indicate what they're interested in and being given a source of materials. These are things that I've seen already that are happening. People are developing this kind of tool of, you know, helping, like a personalized tutor, you know, the Khan Academy, no, was it Khanmigo? That kind of style where things are being personalized and learners are able to indicate what they're interested in, and then they're given a list of resources of what they could look for, working towards, or college courses that they could apply for, and so on. I think, yeah, the possibilities are limitless, but we all have to be very open-minded and make sure that learners understand the risks involved as well as the value of using these tools.
Great. And I'm very glad to see the amount of work you have already been engaging, and even at the very beginning of this AI explosion. Really a very impressive amount of work you've been doing, particularly in terms of a team working together and coming up with a more comprehensive way of looking at AI, how AI can impact a student's learning. And of course, the tremendous amount of work will be done in this area. We'll get down to the next speaker, Chief Kra. I don't know whether.
I think that's me.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Your email name is Chief Kra, right? Okay, go ahead.
All right. Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Antonius. I am from Indonesia, but currently in Bangkok right now.
Mm-hmm.
I am co-founder and chief executive officer from Korea. We are doing and building ecosystem of creativity and innovation, and then especially in Southeast Asia. So that's what we are doing at this moment. And talking about AI, I think, yeah, like what already mentioned by Galit and also Claire, like it's more or less the same happening in here in Indonesia and also the neighborhood country. The things that we bring students to involve with AI is more like bring AI as a tools to make their innovation better. The things now is for the students itself, like from the primary students or maybe the secondary students, the concept is there, but I can say most of them still a user. That's the kind of things that happening. But what we want to bring to them that again, AI is a tool, seems like if we previously we have like robotics, we have a STEM education and so on, or coding, we still bring AI as part of the tools to solve their problem. So this is the first thing that we want to bring. And then regarding on the policy itself, at this moment, I think for most of our students, it's still loss of the control, like they still try to understand more when they have to use it and then that when they have not using it. But my strengthen point more on the value actually. I think it's already mentioned by Claire also previously, like how they can do it ethically, like how they place the value itself by using AI for solving their problem. This time round, next week, we will have the innovation exhibition that we gather startup and also students from around 10 more countries. And I can say that more than 50%, they already bring AI to their solution. So maybe I can update you again after next week, after I meet all of them here in Bangkok. I think that's what I can share. Thank you.
Yes, and now we have a really an email list, and then feel free to really update whatever you have really learned from the event. Really appreciate, and you can jump in at a later discussion point. Okay, great. Let's move on to the next speaker, Pronita.
Thanks, Tehyuan, and thanks for having me here. I'm really excited to be in part of this panel. So a little bit about myself. My name is Pronita. I'm the founder of Mind Antics, and I have been working in the edtech space for over a decade now. And my primary focus is on helping students build creative thinking skills, learn to think and sort of increase their diversity of how they think using different kinds of techniques and help them be more creative, more innovative. And like a lot of the panelists over here said, there's a lot of potential for AI. I mean, there was a study recently, a survey that came out recently that which echoes what Antonius, you said, that over a half of students are already in high school are already using AI to help with their assignments and projects and things like that. So AI has made a lot of inroads very quickly. In a very short span of time, we have students going, like literally from zero to like suddenly using ChatGPT and tools like that. And I think that has a lot of implications. There's definitely positive, as I've talked about personalization and things and instant feedback that you can get from AI tools that can really help you learn. But I think I'm going to focus more on the caution part, maybe for now, because I think there's a lot of challenges also. Especially, when you're working with kids and students, their prefrontal cortex is not developed yet, unlike us adults. So when we're using AI tools, it's a different thing as compared to when students are using, when they're younger and their brains are still getting rewired in different ways. And so one of the things I think about is like, we're not just using technology when we use technology, right? We're kind of co-evolving the technology. Every technology is changing the way we think. It's changing our thinking patterns. It's changing how we process information. And that becomes very critical when you have kids. So the one thing that I definitely, when I talk to parents and educators, one thing I think that I would say probably the most important thing that I would say is to observe and see that when you or your student is interacting with AI or using AI in the work they're doing, is AI or technology making you think in more different ways than you have thought before? Is it helping you make connections from concepts that maybe you knew before, or even new concepts? Is it helping you do some of this? If it's doing that, then you're sort of really engaged in the active process of learning, and then you're most likely good. But when you start sort of outsourcing a little bit of your thinking, that's when the trouble starts. And by outsourcing, I don't mean, the very, very obvious and blatant ways, like, you get an assignment, you're supposed to turn in an essay, and you throw this into ChatGPT, and you take the output and just, use it back, submit your assignment. I mean, those are obviously very easy to catch. But I worry about sort of the more subtle ways where you use AI, you recognize that there are parts that, AI is really good at these things. And so, I think I give it pointers. So it's not like I'm actually completely dumping all the work on AI. I actually think about it a little bit, and I give it, and I take the output. And you look at it critically, you examine it, and maybe do a couple of iterations. It seems like you're being actively engaged, right? You're not just blindly taking the output of ChatGPT, you're being a little bit critical. But even in those scenarios, there are many instances where you could be, you think about just creativity, right? I mean, you have one or two ideas and say, hey, can you give me some more ideas? And it gives you some more ideas. The problem is that you have you use that and the ideas that come from ChatGPT, now you're kind of anchored in those ideas, right? So you would not have exercised your brain as much if you were doing this by yourself. And so in smaller ways, you actually end up thinking a little bit less and thinking, or sort of think about it, maybe even like getting into like a sort of a group think type of a scenario where you have, you get a few ideas from ChatGPT, you kind of go in that one direction. And if you didn't have ChatGPT, maybe you'd have thought of very different ideas, and you kind of lose all of that when you're working. So over time, it can actually, there is a potential, and we won't know on, for another few years once we start looking at, data, but there's potential that we actually become a little bit less creative when we use AI. And, the other thing is about sort of our brain. I mean, we're not, the way we learn, we kind of need, we need more time to process information. We need to do repetitions. And a lot of that also has, we could land in situations where you feel like, hey, we're producing already really good stuff. Like you work with AI, you produce something, and it gives you that sort of illusion that you have mastered something. But the reality might be very different, that you actually need more time and more repetition. So there's a danger that we might sort of start speeding things up because we feel like that the students have reached a level of mastery when they have not. And so again, I think that's going to impact the way students develop and their learning overall. So I think there are definitely some scenarios that we have to think more deeply about. And obviously, like I said, there's potential for this thing, but caution would be my main message.
Yeah, I think it's a very important message. We need to really ponder upon and thinking through, and also really at what age of the children that we need to introduce AI for use, and all just leave it as you use the word outsource, and then whether they have the mental maturity to reach that level and use it properly. That's really something we need to ponder as an educator, as a really government agency. We need to really develop some systematic policy to guide the children to learn in the context of AI environment. Thank you, and then probably we'll have time to further visit this topic. I'll get down to next speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Pronita. Ting Yin.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah,
great.
I'm here.
Hi. Great. Now your 4 minutes.
Thank you. So really nice meeting every one of you here. And I'm Ting from China. I live in Hangzhou. I'm the founder and the CEO of IDE China. So IDE provides programs to schools and working with museums to hold events, mostly innovation events for students. So that is a part of my self-introduction. And I want to share something very interesting from my observations. That is, in my city, I live in Hangzhou, which is an advanced city in China, one of those cities. And in primary schools, we already have lessons and classes taught by science teachers to teach students how to use AI, what kinds of tools, AI tools they can use, and what kinds of technologies we already have. So students can have a very general concept what AI could do. For example, the primary students will know what the digital human, what it looks like, or meta-human, which sometimes we call that meta-human, what looks like, and how that is generated. And they will know some tools, AI tools in China, because we could not visit OpenAI from China, but we do have our own company, our own AI tools to generate text and videos and images, and to make PowerPoint, to write code, things like that. We have plenty of these AI tools. So students can also use these kinds of tools. So this is what they learn in school. And maybe in near future, we will have some limitations for students to use these tools. But currently, we didn't see any limitation for them to use. Yeah, so this is for one. Maybe it is hard to tell if the students use AI to do their homework or to do their job. We may not know that. And another thing is some programs that we are working on, we encourage students to use tools to do their research. For example, in our programs, we encourage them to do research and using AI to help them to search information, to generate a PowerPoint, and to give the presentation by themselves. And then all the materials they need to use AI to generate. It's not written by themselves. Why we do that? Because we find out that some students cannot use AI tools, not because they don't know how to use it. It's just that they don't know what is the problem they want to solve and what kind of the results they want to have. So we realized that the student only know what the problem they want to solve and clearly know what is the result the student want to get. Then the student can know what kind of tools and how AI can help him or her. So this is what we found in our programs. And one thing is quite interesting, is, as Claire just talked about, it is how could students know the information is correct? And yeah, we have plenty of false information there. So students need to, they will gradually, because they use AI tools more often, then they can have the chance to distinguish what is the truth and what is the false information. Yeah, so I think that is what we see, what we observed in our daily life. And regarding to the future, for the future, and I have a very interesting thinking is, I think AI can help the teachers to realize individual teaching. It is just like in our class, there would be 40 students in a single class. Maybe some class would have more students. And so it's really a large number. It is really hard for teacher to teach one by one, to notice every student, to see how they learn and what is so that means every student has a different learning progress. So AI, maybe in future, AI can model each student to create a model for each student. So even though the language, even though not the knowledge, for example, it's like the A multiplying with B equals C. When they learn that, some students would be assigned with easier problems to solve, and some students will be assigned a hard problem to solve. That's all depend on the level they are in. So that is something AI could do, but it's really hard for a teacher to assign.
Right. Hi, Ting. I have to stop you. I think that's wonderful. And I'll stop you at this idea of personalized learning. Probably we'll have a few minutes at the end that we can really probably focus on that as well. Thank you very much. I know here China has been very progressive in setting up the policy at the national level, as well as really probably eagerness for teachers and students to jump into the adoption of AI in the process of learning, but also really they have significant challenges. I'll move down to the next speaker, Aimee Ashcraft.
Hi everyone, I'm Aimee. I'm from Dayton, Ohio. I am an educator and a presenter. I've taught for 30 years. My main role has been in gifted education. I currently teach grades 2 through 6. And where I teach, we are really not even at the table yet with AI. It's something that I think our district is a little bit fearful of. They want to keep our students safe. However, I think AI is here and it's obviously not going anywhere. So I think it's important that we teach our students how to use it as a tool, how to use it ethically. I feel like we're falling behind by not even looking at policies or how to bring it in, because our students probably in high school are probably already going home and using it. So we need to be on top of it. I think I agree with several people that said different things. With Ting and the personalized learning, as a gifted teacher, I see, unfortunately, a lot of teachers that have big classes and are working on helping the kids that are further behind. And our gifted kids are waiting. They're just waiting to learn something. And I think AI could be great for teachers to use to come up with extensions and enrichment for those kids. I think gifted kids also have trouble sometimes funneling their ideas because they have so many ideas. And I think AI could help them, kind of help narrow their ideas to be able to get started, because I think a lot of the gifted kids just take forever to start because they have just so many ideas and they can't narrow it down and just begin. I think it could be great in that way. I do worry, as Pronita said, that it could affect our thinking of our kids. With 30 years of teaching, I've seen gifted kids that are having more difficulty being creative because they've been memorizing and they use the internet to find the answer. And it's not, when you give them the open-ended question, they don't know where to begin because they can't just go find the answer. So I think it's here. I think our main point should be to teach them to use it as a tool, when to use it, how to use it ethically. And,
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm at, but I'm hoping, I'm glad to be on here today to hear what other people are doing, that it's there, and maybe how I can go back and help our district to promote it and to start to teach the kids how to use it properly.
Yeah, thank you very much for your participation in this panel discussion. I know here probably you must be aware that the U.S. Department of Education has really issued guidelines for embracing AI technology for K-12 education. That has really been a very positive sign, because U.S. Department of Education tend to be passive in really introducing policies and guidelines. But this time around, at the end of 2023, they issued this guideline for adopting AI. I think probably that can be a good source of information to really share among teachers as well as the school leaders in your district, so that they can really probably hop on to this train, I would say. Also, UNESCO has really come up with a guideline and policy to guide most international community in the context of AI for education. And it's good to really look it up as well. So for the sake of time, I'll move on to the next speaker. Rachna, are you on?
I'm sorry. Rachna was one of our hosts, was to be one of our hosts last night, and she was ill with the flu. So I'm sure that that is why she's not here. And I just wanted to let you. Nope, Suzi made it back in. Never mind. Thank you.
Great. Okay, probably maybe she needs a couple of minutes to get oriented. Let's move on to Jim. So we'll get back to Rachna later. Okay, Jim, are you on? Probably not. Suzi Murphy.
Yes, hi. I'm Suzi Murphy, Director of Kid Inventors. We teach kids that they've created, help them understand a path on how to get it to market. And the way in which I think AI has been very very
Suzi,
beneficial
Suzi,
to
Suzi, can you
the
hear
learning.
me? Suzi, if you can hear me,
Yeah.
can you turn your camera off and see if that helps your bandwidth? Because you're doing, nope, and she dropped again. You might have to save her to the end.
Okay.
She's dropped a couple times because of her bandwidth issues.
Okay. Rachna, are you back?
Rachna is ill. She won't be here today. She has the flu.
Okay, great. What about Jim?
I'm not sure who Jim is. I'm sorry.
Okay, I just copied the Mazasila organization. Jim at Mazasila organization.
That's Jim Bruner. He's not here. Suzi,
Okay.
Suzi, turn off your video and just talk. Suzi, turn off
Okay.
the video and just talk.
How's that? Can you hear me?
No, your
Yes.
video is still on though.
I did.
Okay.
Okay, talk.
Oop,
Oh,
she's gone again.
Okay. Shelly, let's move on to Shelly. Shelly Munoz.
Hi, folks. My name is Shelly Munoz, and
Okay.
I am so grateful to be here. Just in this few minutes, how much knowledge I've gained from all of you. So thank you so much. I live in central Minnesota in the United States. And so the area that I live is very rural and agricultural. And so when we look at the environment in which I live, sometimes we could be described as a digital desert. And so back during the COVID time, Beth Ford, the CEO of Land of Lakes, did a lot of a lot of legislative work just to get broadband in our area. And so when we look at that, we do have that discrepancy that there are still places that are really struggling just with internet use. But then we look at this absolutely explosive movement of AI. It almost feels like I'm always trying to get caught up. And I don't know how you feel about AI, but it's like I went to sleep and boom, there it was. And I'm like, I'm always paying attention to this because I've been a 25-year educator, predominantly in science and now STEM. And it just is absolutely baffling to me how quickly but how exciting, but yet how cautious that we need to be. So to start, I would like just to give you a quote from Winston Churchill. And the further backward you can look, the further forward you're likely to see. And so I encourage all of us in this, if we think just a few years back, remember when math teachers were protesting the calculator and how when the internet first came about and we were so concerned. And so I think like anything, we navigate these changes of time and the expectations we want for our student through conversation. So this is such an excellent format just to have conversation and to see what other people are truly doing in schools, etc. I work for a government co-op, so the job I get to do is work with teachers and educators and working on, I have 5 different districts in the region I get to work with, and one of them is policy. And Dr. Wan, I really appreciate what you said about the ed department and the guidelines that are being released, because I think it's really important through conversation that we understand what guidelines and the cautious things that we need to worry about and the exciting things that we need to worry about when we look at that. Also the ethics of AI, and that, we all have conversations of worrying of our students not really learning in the depth that we would like to, and cheating and all of those other parameters that come into that. But as we grow in this new world of education and AI, we like to think about it as being a guide on the side. When we look at those equity pieces, many students do need more personalized learning. They also sometimes, when students have IEPs or they're 504 students, being able to give them tools to help them in that learning process is absolutely amazing. And also, I mean, I just think of the big equity piece in that as well, that, you know, if students need enhancements and helping in certain areas. And these are tools that are incredibly helpful when we look at our students and all of those types of things. Pronita, I really loved what you talked about as far as considering the prefrontal cortex and the learning modalities that go along with that. That is something that I will definitely take into consideration when we're looking at our policies. At this point, we're really focused on looking at high school students, but yet it is important across the entire grade bands and so forth. And Ting, I really loved when you said about correct information, because I know I have used AI and I have gotten information back that luckily I looked at it because it was like, what in the world? So it doesn't necessarily always mean the information it's going to give us is correct. One of the biggest things that I'm currently working on with educators in our region is what's the difference between generative AI and then AI, just artificial intelligence. So just for the sake of conversation, generative AI is that subset of deep learning where algorithms are used to create new content, meaning like text, videos, and images. And examples of these would be like ChatGPT. And that seems to be what we're all using a lot and encouraging within our district. But then just for conversation's sake, AI, artificial intelligence, is really modeling the human mental functions of computer programming. And so I think as we start to dig deeper into the educational aspects of where we're at with this, vocabulary is really important in understanding each component of what it means, because the more I dig, the more I find out that I don't know what I don't know and I need to know more. I think as far as educators, though, we look at the ever crunching amount of work that they have to do. And so teaching science, and we have new science standards in our state, and the United States is using NGSS type of standards. That's something like Magic School. Magic School is a great resource to use to help in creating and helping our work in creating lessons and performance expectations for our students and being able to meet those guidelines. And so as I look at all of the different tools out there, I think it's kind of exciting as to the amount of help that educators can receive in their classroom, because as we know, we'd like classrooms to get smaller, but they're getting bigger. The last thing that I'd like to end with, because I can tell my time is coming close, is to look at the excitement of some of the work that we're able to do with AI. One that I'm working on currently with students in our state is the Earth Species Project. And I guess it goes back to my childhood with Dr. Doolittle and looking at being able to talk to animals. But I'll put 2 links in the chat because there's so much exciting things that we can use. And when we look at the transformative quantitative material of being able to communicate with animals and how that may be able to help us.
Thank you very much, Shelly.
Thank you.
And well, you mentioned that you were teaching in the area that seems to be backward in terms of internet connectivity, but you are way ahead of a lot of people in thinking about in really exploring the use of AI in the field of teaching, particularly in the area of, say here, connection between AI and STEAM teaching. That's very critical, and to a great extent, AI has really provided further platform for STEAM education. And also STEAM education has been increasing in importance in the context of AI. I will move on to next speaker.
Dr. Wan, I think that Suzi is back and able to try on her phone now.
Oh, okay, great.
I think she might be the last speaker as well, unless somebody was missed, but I don't think so.
D'Angelo?
No, he's a host. He's a host.
Oh, he's a host.
Only the people with their cameras on get to participate.
I for some reason I could not see the whole
Yeah,
pictures.
no problem. But I think
yeah.
Susie's ready to try it if you want.
Let's begin with Suzi.
Well, I'd like to say how funny we are talking about internet connectivity when I am in a location in which I'm right next to two countries. And I thought I'd be good because one of the countries would pick me up. So I apologize for that. Again, I'm Suzi Murphy with Invent Mentors, Kid Invent Mentors, and we support kid innovation. We teach kids about innovation, and then also kids who have products that they were interested in bringing to market. We help support that process.
Which side of the border you are on?
I can look out my window and see Canada, but I'm on the US side at the moment.
Go ahead.
And apparently the two sides don't want me to be on the internet at the moment. So.
Okay. Go ahead.
Anyway, where I am, the way in which we're implementing AI within our programs is what I think is really important is how to teach kids about prompting. This prompt engineering is really important in how do you ask the right question to get an answer you want, but if you ask a question that you're getting a response for, how do you take that response and continue to refine it to get the ultimate direction in which you want to go? And then sometimes that answer makes you start thinking in a different direction, and now it takes you down a different road in prompting. And so I know there's been a lot of talk about, can people still be creative when they're using AI to give them answers? But I think, in my opinion, you almost have to get more creative in some ways, because now you've found a direction you want to go and it's giving you different pieces. And now you have to take these pieces and rethink how you want to use them, how you want to talk to it. And so I found it extremely helpful in how the students get to their final destination. And it opens up areas that they might have not originally thought of that now they're more curious about. And so for me, I feel that it enhances quite a bit. I've used it with even understanding the language used in prototyping to how do you make something when it comes to manufacturing. Like, you want to make a particular product, but how is it made on the manufacturing side? So I think that there's a lot of benefits to using it. I hear a lot of concerns out there, but so far from my experience, it's been all upside in how to trigger the kids' brains to still be creative and innovative. So that's my 2 cents on the matter.
Great, thank you. Anyone else who has not been called on and chime in the discussion?
I just want to add, if I may.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
I agree with the first. As I told you, we embrace AI here, but as Pronita said, and I have a good example for you that you may understand. We use in Israel, and I believe maybe in your country there is another navigator app where you want to drive somewhere, you write on it. We use Waze, and before Waze was, we knew how to reach from place to place. Now without Waze, we don't know how to get there. And yes, it has an effect on our brain. And that's something that we need to be aware of with the AI when we are talking about kids. And another thing is that using all these tools is great, but we have to be aware that everything that they write there is not personal anymore. And this is something that we need to think of.
Yes, definitely. I think probably we're in a new era. I would say probably AI age education. And I think it's not really in isolation, because the 20 years or maybe 30 years since the personal computer emerged, we have really been cumulatively building up the technology capacity when AI has really been on top of all this technology present itself, it gave us this probably quick access. Now here, just mention about how students jump into it, well, with the teacher's permission or not. That's the reality we'll have to deal with. And but that triggers me to think about how to leverage students' capacity in the movement of AI adoption, and at the same time guide them as really co-pilot, co-learners in the process. Really have them look into how to assess AI and its impact on learning, on their learning. So in that way, they will self-reflect, self-examine the process of teaching and learning. That's really something I think some of you touched on, and then we can probably further explore. I know Alan November, I don't know whether you have heard of him or not, has really been championed to promote students' leadership in the movement of technology integration. So AI is really another form or another dimension of technology integration. We can look into it. Another thing I think probably we also need to look at just a moment ago, we talked about some schools have been more progressive versus others. And then we need to really think how we can change the situation in the context of getting teachers involved, at the same time, get the school leaders involved in the process to support teachers to make a shift, as well as just a moment ago, we talked about students' role. And then in this context of systematic change and transform learning, we need to have some coherence between belief system, leadership, culture change, curriculum change, instructional process change, as well as, more importantly, assessment change. If we don't change that, then all the benefits of AI technology, as well as the shift in change, have not really been reflected in so-called success in education.
I may say it here. So here we have official trainings for these educators, but also it comes from the teachers themselves, and we have plenty of very active WhatsApp groups, and with a lot of materials that they share together and they teach each other, and you know, without the education ministry guidance, they do it by themselves.
Yeah, great. Another point.
That's another, I think, a great point that Galit and Dr. Wan you bring up. AI is, I mean, there are two things that I feel changing. One, the AI that we're using now, the generative AI, the LLMs, they have a very broad impact. So it's not a very narrow AI for a very specific domain. It's, you can use it for any subject, research. It's very, very broad. So that's one piece. And the other piece is that I think it's no longer, students are going to use AI. I mean, if they're not using it inside the schools, they're going to be using it outside. They're going to be using it for school assignments. They're going to be using for their personal projects, whatever. So I think it's something that it's just not, I mean, we need to build a community of both educators, parents to handle this problem. So parents need to be as much educated about the AI and its impact as educators. I mean, we can have policies in schools, but unless we have also parents on board who understand some of the challenges with AI, I think, student lives are still going to be impacted and student development. So
definitely. Another dimension I think probably we haven't really touched on is really to what extent AI has impact on cognitive development as well as affective domain development.
Yes.
So that part is really something that needs further explore and examine, and how we can really shift probably some low level of cognitive development teaching and learning towards AI as really part of the automation process. and then really engage, reduce the busy work for teachers so they can free more time to engage more probably higher level of cognitive development as well as effective domain development. So
that's exactly right, yeah.
And then in that way, we very much like Ting mentioned about how to really engage personalized learning in such through the use of AI and other technology. I think probably there's a significant area of, I would say here, research we need to further explore.
Dr. Wan,
yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. You have about 1 minute left before the time has expired. I know that our co-host D'Angelo has his hand up, so he may have wanted to contribute as well.
Okay, great. D'Angelo?
D'Angelo Richardson, founder and president.
We can't hear you, D'Angelo.
You all hear me now?
A little bit.
Okay, let's see. How about now?
Oh, better.
Better.
Okay, so what we're looking at with AI, I think it's important for us to consider this. We're not just talking about youth development and education. We're talking about global infrastructure. And what that means is how we're developing our future generations and how we operate in each sector of our economy. And what AI does is it does have an effect on cognitive development and processing. And what that does is it eliminates the process to accomplish for task management with the youth. And with AI is very, very good for innovative thinking and in generative thought processing, but it doesn't do anything for actual skill development. It doesn't do anything for education development. And it eliminates the ability to be literate. It takes the fluency of literacy and dialogue and comprehension out of the education process. And that is important with any aspect of learning, whether it's, anything STEM related, if it's advanced learning, if it's writing, it doesn't quite matter what realm of learning we have. But when we have AI navigating us through our educational process, it takes away the essence of what we need as people to actively move throughout our global society. So if we become too dependent on AI, and technology makes up about over 90% of the schools use technology. So if we put too much technology into it, then we'll remove the essence of who we are as people, which we are the ones who built that system. And what that does is that diminishes our economy, especially in America where we have standardized testing. If we're using too much technology, standardized testing will no longer allow us to fund the schools with the proper funding that we need to build the academic programs that we need to keep everyone going forward. So these are things that we have to consider, and we have to look at AI as something that's a tool, not a means to an end. Because if we use it, if we overconsume ourselves with AI, we begin to lose the essence of what our brains are designed to do.
Wonderful, I will say probably points, and so many points that from D'Angelo. One point I just want to touch on, really, AI, to what extent AI can help us shift from kind of constant knowledge acquisition, standardized assessment, towards really skill development, and then develop the students' ability to learn on their own and to learn through their life, as well as adapt to the changing environment. That's really probably area we need to do. As I mentioned probably early on, there's so many topics we can really do research on, and then explore how we can leverage the use of technology to enhance teaching learning. Schools are not going anywhere, not like some other people say here, school no longer relevant. More the people in school, teachers, educators, play a more important role, a more significant role in the shift of education. That's really what I can say. I know here, Professor Mendelsohn has already given me a couple of warnings. We'll have to really close the session so that the following session will start. Jake? I don't know whether Jake is still with us or not.
He's out there. He's just got his camera off, but we do want to thank you so much for coming today and talking with us and allowing time for the educators to share as well. It's been a very
Oh.
meaningful conversation, and we thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much.
Thank you,
Yeah,
everyone.
we should keep the conversation going either through email or through this form of communication. Many thanks to you.
Sounds
all.
wonderful. Thank you. We'll send you a copy
Thank you
of the
so much.
recording.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.